have something in Charleston. Why don't we start something right here? Bazing! I knew that was going to happen. Bazing! Why don't we start right here? We talked about it a little bit. You know what we decided to do? We got together 12 people. I called 12 people and I said, would you be willing to come to our house? I want to tell you about an idea I have. No, I invited the people who were in the water with me. I invited the people who believed in possibility. Here we are. This is the idea. This is the current manifestation of Spiritual Soul Center. So I'm doing this mini-series based on children's books called What You Do Matters. What You Do Matters. And this is the second week. I got these books from two different people, so I mentioned last time, I thought, okay, two different people have given me these books. Maybe there's a message in here. Maybe this is something I should talk about. And I'm always up for that. I'm always up for inviting in what the universe happens to present. Right? So this week I'm talking from a book called, the title of this book is What Do You Do With an Idea? What do you do with an idea? And here's how it starts. Very first page, it says, one day I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered, what do you do with an idea? And I thought, isn't that the way it is? Isn't the way that it is when we have an idea? It's like, there it is, all of a sudden, there's an idea. And you're like, well, where did it come from? Like, it wasn't there, and then it was there. There's this idea that comes up. Yeah, I like it. Y'all can see it. That's cool. I had an idea. That's the way it seems sometimes, doesn't it? It just pops up. It's like, well, where does it come from? Where does an idea come from? Have you ever thought about that? Like, where does it come from? Because some of us think, well, it comes from up here. It comes from up here. It's like, well, does it really come from that gray and white matter that's in your skull, your brain? You know, it doesn't really come from your brain. You know, your brain is where we have, it helps us mentally and physically to operate in the world. Like, think about riding a bicycle. Like, when you ride a bicycle, you need your brain. Because you need to know how to balance on there, you need to know how to coordinate driving the pedals forward. Like, you need that, you know, mentally and physically, you know, you need your brain to do that. And that's the depository, too, for learning stuff. Right, kids, when you go to math class and you have to remember what 16 plus 16 is, that it's 32, you know, that's in your brain. That's in your brain. You have put that information in there. The multiplication tables, the history lessons, all those things that we learn. How you got to Spiritual Soul Center, the roads you take, you know, your brain got you here. But that's not where we get ideas from. Because the stuff in the brain is the stuff we use. There's no creativity in the brain. So, where does it come from? Where does an idea come from if it doesn't come from the brain? Well, let's use a couple examples here. A couple of things that we all know about right now, like things like the internet. Like, who had the idea about the internet first? The internet, or GPS. You know, GPS knows exactly where you are if you have your phone with you and it's on. Like, who figured that out? And that was possible, and then made it possible in this little computer thing we carry in our purses and pockets. Like, that happens. Who decided that you could actually launch a spaceship off the face of the globe, and it could get beyond gravity into our atmosphere, and then it wouldn't keep going? Like, I always think of that. Like, how does a rocket know it's supposed to circulate like this around the globe? Like, oh my gosh, somebody figured that out. Somebody had an idea of how that would happen. How a satellite could be launched and put up there. Somebody had the idea that when joints go bad in older people's bodies, that they can replace a whole joint. A whole hip is titanium. Right? Like, who thought of that stuff? Where do ideas come from? Because they come from this unseen place into this physical place, right? That's what happens. None of that stuff before was seen. I don't know what brain could imagine the internet. And now we have 4G, we're going to 5G. Like, what does that even mean? Somebody's figuring that stuff out. Like, we should be going like this and ducking around all these waves that are projected everywhere. Well, here's what I think. None of it comes from our brain. Where an idea comes from is the intelligence in the universe. That's what I'm going to suggest. That there is an intelligence in the universe where every idea has already been had, and whatever it takes to create that idea is already done. It's already done. In other words, we don't have ideas, we become aware of what's possible already. That's what I believe. We become aware of what's possible already. When the Wright brothers flew their plane out at Kitty Hawk, they just used the laws of aviation. They used the laws of being able to fly. They used the laws of physics to get that plane up off the ground. Those laws existed long before they put the plane in the air. And our ability to communicate wirelessly, our ability to do that, that idea was already done long ago. That's what I believe. Let me give you an example. And this is a great story. Some of you have heard it before. And this is what I'm talking about. It's a story from Stretton Smith's 4T Prosperity Program. It goes like this. He says, let me tell you a story about three little fish in Monterey Bay. These three little fish were going to fish school, and one day their professor told them about water. He told them that water was present at every point in space at the same time. So after school that day, the three little fish were talking and wondering where the water actually was. And one of the little fish understood the concept. He knew he was already in the water. The other two, with great excitement, said, let's go find the water. And so they swam the 7 seas, and finally, years later, they returned to Monterey Bay, old and decrepit, impoverished and home to die. And they looked up their old fish school chum. We live at the coast, y'all know what that is. Who was still looking young and who had a whole string of condominiums on the reef, a fine family and several generations of grandfish. And the two fish asked, how did you ever find the water? You see, that's what happens to us. We think that we don't exist in this abundant and amazing universe. We're out looking for the water instead of using what is right around us. And we're exactly like the fish, because the water was flowing through the fish. It was flowing through the gills of the fish. And that's what the creative energy in the universe is for us too. It flows through us, but we block it up sometimes. We block it up. That's what we do, because we have limited thinking. And we don't think that something is possible, and so it's not. Yeah? So this water that I'm talking about, I call God. I call the divine. I call unlimited possibility. I call the vibration in the universe. That's what I call that. And we are in it. We live in it. We live in it. And that's where ideas come from. That's where life originates. That's where creativity originates, in this divine energy in the universe. That's the truth. So, most of us end up feeling this way about our ideas. Or sometimes we feel this way. It says, I was worried about what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself, I hid it away, and I didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly, and many of them did. And they said it was no good, and they said it was too weird, and they said it was a waste of time, and that it would never become anything. Oh my gosh, that's what we do with our ideas. We don't remember that we're in the water. We don't remember that we have the entire universe behind every single idea that could come up in our minds. And not only the idea come up, but everything that it takes to manifest that idea, to make it real, is there right along with it. But we forget. We forget. That's what happens to us in our ideas. When it's really, really a big idea, when it's really, really a bold idea, when it's an idea that nobody ever thought of before, we think, oh my gosh, that couldn't possibly be. We get scared. We get afraid. We think, oh, I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. And I could never do that. That's what happens with our ideas because we forget that we're already in the water. Golly. We forget. That's all. We simply forget. Well, there's only one place that ideas are impossible, and that is in our limited thinking. That is in our limited thinking. You know what we're supposed to do with ideas, or what is the best thing to do, or what is the most awesome thing to do, is to let an idea out. To like try it on. You know? To see what it looks like. To say, oh yeah, is this the idea? Or maybe another idea comes and says, oh, there's that, and then there's this too. And you're like, oh, now it's feeling really good. To let it out, to try it on, to look around, to look in the mirror, to tell a few people, but tell the people who know that they're swimming in the water. Tell the people who already know that it's possible. Don't tell the ones who don't know. All they're going to tell you is it's not good enough, and you could never do it. But if you tell the people who realize they're already in the water, wow, wow, that's when you got something going. So I know some of you kids have been working with this idea of ideas, and I'm wondering if you have an idea that you want to share. Anybody? Kenny? Cullen? Thomas? Look, I got your own microphone right here. Zachary? Who wants to tell us about an idea? Yeah. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Come on down here a minute. You don't have to talk for a long time. Hey, Zachary. Come on up here. I want to know what your idea is. Don't you guys want to know? Say yeah. Yeah, tell us. You want to tell them what your idea is? Go ahead, tell them.
Panda robot spaceship.
You want
a panda robot spaceship.
A panda robot spaceship. Now tell us more about it. Tell us about why you love a panda robot spaceship.
Because I really like pandas.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. It's possible. A panda robot. I mean, why not? Why not? Why not?
What does it bring?
Oh, you want to tell me what it's going to bring? Tell me what it's going to bring.
Pandas.
You told me in the car.
Go ahead.
We got this guy.
Mom, tell us what he told you. Come here.
Is that okay if I tell him what you told me in the car? Is that okay?
Yes, all right.
He said that a panda robot spaceship would bring happiness to the world.
Great. Kenny, tell us your idea. Come here. You want to hear Kenny's idea?
Yeah!
They want to hear it. They want to hear it. Go ahead. They want to hear it. Go this way. Come on. Come on. Tell us your idea.
Okay, a closet that automatically puts your clothes on.
Oh!
So if you're running late, you can just push some buttons.
Yeah, an automatic closet. So you can just push some buttons when you're running late. I like it. Hey, I'll guarantee you, no one in here has thought of that before. Just you. You know? So why is it impossible? Yeah, sure it is. Come on, Sleepy Colin.
I'm too sleepy to do anything right now.
Come on, you can tell us about your idea. Ashley, are you excited about his idea? Yeah. They want to hear it. They want to hear it.
My idea is a solar-powered spaceship that can get to Pluto.
Oh! Why do you want to go to Pluto? Why Pluto?
Because it's the furthest
It's the
planet in our solar system.
It's the furthest planet in the solar system. Yeah. Yeah.
You want to see his model?
Yeah. Look at it. Check it out. So, here's the thing. Thomas, I know you had something. I read something about some sort of video game. Am I right, or did I get that wrong? There's an idea you have about a video game, is that right?
Yes.
Yes, exactly said yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of scary coming up here, I get it. I get it. But the thing is, what I want us to realize is, let's support each other with that. You know, these ideas didn't come out of their brains. Michael, what was your idea? Come up here. Michael had an idea. Come on. See, I want to hear your idea. It doesn't matter which one. He has so many ideas.
Oh gosh. Here we go.
Tell one.
All right. Well, a fun idea we're bringing to life right now. It's really cool. Some friends. Okay.
It's easier to say. I know. That's all right.
Some friends of mine and I created this idea, and it's called Sustain with Sound. Sustain with Sound is a 100% sustainable, eco-friendly music festival powered by renewable energy sources. So part of the festival is powered by solar power. It's actually April 27th of 2019 at Pier 33 behind PPD. Tickets are on sale now. There's 7 minutes. So this idea came out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is what happens. So what happens with these ideas? These ideas don't come out of our brain. Michael told me before the service, you know, his friends got together and they were talking about it and they were collaborating. And yeah, that's one way an idea expands, actually. How does an idea expand? Because we get this idea, right? Boom! But if it stays here, there's no manifestation out here. There's no festival. There's no actual rocket ship. There's no actual panda rocket spaceship spreading peace, robots spreading peace around. There isn't. It stays here. So we have to expand this idea. Because this is just popping up when we expand the idea. Well, how do we do that? Well, let's see what's in this book right here. How do we expand an idea? This is the idea, by the way. This is a great book, great children's book. It says, but then I realized, what did they really know? To the people that were saying, no, that's not possible, and what, are you crazy, a panda, and how is it ever going to be solar powered, and what do you mean solar powered event? That's not going to happen. All those people said, but I realized, what do they really know? What does anybody else really know about your idea? To have a farm, you know, to do things. To start your own pet sitting business, to create a new business model. What does anybody really know about that? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And so it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little bit crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food, I worked with it, I played with it, but most of all, I gave it my attention. That's what you do with an idea. You give it your attention. You give it your love. You pay attention. You don't ignore it. You don't leave it in the corner of your room. You carry it with you. Everywhere you go, you're like looking for stuff, you know, to support your idea. Remember, you're swimming in this world, this universal intelligence everywhere, so you're carrying it with you so that you can become aware of what else, what else, what else. That's what I'm talking about. Because the way an idea develops is through attention. It also develops by trial and error. It also develops by research and development. It also develops by brainstorming and collaboration. You see, we have to pay attention to the idea. Otherwise, it just stays right here. And it's a great idea, but it's not going to be manifest. We have to pay attention to it. We have to pay attention to it and nurture it. To go from here, from the unformed, which is what I call God, from possibility, which is what I call God, into manifestation. It comes through us. Just like that water comes through the gills of a fish, that comes through us. That comes through us. That's how creativity happens. That's how ideas are made manifest. So, I can give you my example of an idea, and that was Spiritual Soul Center. I mean, here we are. I had a church in Durham, and I helped close that one down, and I'm wondering, what is there to do? What am I going to do? And Renee and I would talk about it, and I thought, oh, why don't I get a Unity church? You know, I'm a licensed Unity teacher. Maybe I'll apply to be a minister at some Unity churches, and they were looking for some people down in Florida, and I thought, well, let me put the application in. Never got a call. Never got a call. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what about that? What about that? Did I get a call? Well, then I was visiting my brother. We were visiting my brother and his girlfriend down in Charleston, and I met a young man who was so excited about ministry. And we thought, well, let's do something together. Yeah, let's start something in Charleston. Ooh, it was kind of an exciting talk. We were collaborating. We were brainstorming. This idea came up. Bloop, came right up. Let's do it here. Came back to Wilmington, and we talked a little bit about it. Renee said, why are you trying to have something in Charleston? Why don't we start something right here? Bazing! I knew that was going to happen. Bazing! Why don't we start right here? We talked about it a little bit. You know what we decided to do? We got together 12 people. I called 12 people and I said, would you be willing to come to our house? I want to tell you about an idea I have. And those 12 people came to our house. And I told them about the idea I had. And there was some excitement about that idea. And I thought, oh, maybe this idea is a good idea. People were saying it was a good idea. There was some excitement about it. I told it to some people who were in the water with me, by the way. I didn't tell a bunch of people who would say, nah, that's a terrible idea. How are you going to be a minister? You're not even ordained yet. No, I invited the people who were in the water with me. I invited the people who believed in possibility. And here we are. This is the idea. This is the current manifestation of Spiritual Soul Center. So, well, thank you. Thank you for that. Because we are in the water together for it, with it. It wouldn't work very much if Renee was just sitting there filming me and none of you were here. I really do believe you create that energy. So what happens? What happens with an idea then? Listen, look at the vibration here. What happens with an idea? Here's with this little boy or girl. He could be either one. She could be either one. Then one day something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my eyes. It spread its wings, it took flight, and it burst into the sky. That's what I see when I look out with you. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just part of me anymore, it was now part of everything. And what I'm trying to say to you by that, I think it's so profound to realize that our ideas, no matter how small we think they are, or how large they don't stay contained in us. They don't stay contained in us. They become the fabric of the universe. They become the fabric of the universe. Every single idea becomes the fabric of the universe. Every one. Every one. Sometimes it changes the world. When we think about the world as the entire globe. But I'll tell you what, my world is right here. And it's changing my world. This idea has changed my world. And your idea will change your world. And it'll change your world because you decided to pay attention to it. You decided it was important enough. You decided not to be scared of it. You decided to work with it, to try it on, to see what it looks like. You decided that you can take it from here and you can manifest it into something here. And that's how it became part of the universe. I mean the universe. Every idea you've had has become part of the universe. It's become part of the vibration in the entire universe. I want you to know that. And kids, I want you to know that. Every single idea that you have, and all the adults here as well, becomes part of the fabric of the universe. Could you believe that? Every craft pin you make, Debbie, becomes part of the fabric of the universe. Every one. Every grant that you write, Heather, becomes part of the fabric of the universe. Every one. All of it. Every picture you take, every note you sing, all of it. It becomes a part of the vibration. Your pet sitting business, Liz, all of it. All of it becomes a part of the fabric of the universe. We swim in this universal abundance, and we are not separate from it in any way. None of us are. To change the world is simply to change our attitude. We change the world by changing our attitude, to recognize the universal intelligence, God, that is present in us, through us, and all around us. What do you do with an idea? Let it out. Let it out. Love it. Recognize the source. You can't fail. You can't fail. So let's take those ideas into meditation right now. You're invited to come down and sit on the cushion. Let's just do something really simple for this meditation. Let's just realize that I allow the ideas to flow through me. That's my job. I don't have to come up with an idea. I don't have to think, well, I'm not creative. I don't know how. We live in the world, in the universe of abundance. Our only limitation is something we block and we think up here with our brain, which is not the source of our creativity. So let's believe. Let's believe that we live right there. That it flows through us. Let's believe what Jesus said, really. You know what he said? He said, all things are possible to those who believe. Can it get simpler than that? All things are possible to those who believe. And I would say to those who believe in the creative power that exists in the universe. To those who believe that God flows through me. That when I remove the limitations that I set up in my own mind, that there is nothing that is impossible. Nothing impossible to those who believe. voice calling a name I recognize as my own. Sometimes it comes as a soft-bellied whisper. Sometimes it holds an edge of urgency. But it always says, wake up, my love. You are walking asleep. There's no safety in that. Remember what you are, and let this knowing take you home to the beloved with every breath. Hold tenderly who you are, and let a deeper knowing color the shape of your humanness. There is nowhere to go. What you are looking for is right here. Open the fist, clenched in wanting, and see what you already hold in your hand. Remember, there is one word you are here to say with your whole being. When it finds you, give it your life to it. Don't be tight-lipped and stingy. Spend yourself completely on the saying. Be one word in this great love poem we are writing together.